So next up, we're going to be talking about automating App Store optimization, and we're going to be using generative AI to do that. And we've got Andy and Livio from Phiture to come up and tell us all about that. So guys, come on up and tell us about automating App Store optimization.
Hi everyone. Hello. Yeah, I'm Andy, this is Livio, and today we're going to talk for about 20 minutes about what we really believe is going to be the future of App Store optimization. Just a quick show of hands, I can just about see you under these lights. Anybody here actively involved in App Store optimization, or your company is doing App Store optimization for any of your titles? Yep, I'm seeing a few hands go up. Okay, so some of you at least are familiar with App Store optimization already. There we go. Yeah. So before we get into the detail, just a quick, if you can step aside from there. There we go. Yeah, quick introduction to ourselves. So this is me. I'm Andy. I grew up in the UK, where we had a very strong home computer scene. I think that's one of the things that's kind of similar with Finland. There's like a strong homebrew development scene there. My father brought a home computer for me and my brother taught us how to code it back in the early 80s. Ever since I first got hold of a computer, all I wanted to do was make games. And actually my first job after I graduated computer science was with a small Finnish company called Nokia. That's a joke. Of course, they were huge, even bigger than these days back then. I made a game called Space Impact. It was one of the early arcade shooting games on a mobile phone. One of the sort of early arcade games. It was embedded first on the Nokia 3310 and on a few subsequent devices as well. I really had a lot of fun making that game. It was like a real exercise in resource optimization. I had to squeeze the whole code, level data, sound effects, everything into, and the graphics, of course, into about 16 kilobytes, which was a lot of fun. After being in the games industry for about 10 years, I went to business school, ended up in Berlin after that, and where I joined SoundCloud, and I was leading mobile growth there for about 4.5 years. It's also there that I published a framework called the Mobile Growth Stack. Anyway, after being at SoundCloud for about 4.5 years, I left to set up Phiture, which is the mobile growth consultancy that I've been running for the last 8 years with my colleague Moritz, who's unfortunately not here today, but I do have here today Livio.
Hi everyone, this is Livio. I work as product lead at Phiture. I've been working in product growth for most of my career, the last decade or so, mostly scale-ups, startups, including the Y Combinator portfolio. And my experience is mostly in conversion rate optimization, marketing tools, and the like. And so I'm responsible for Pressplay at Phiture, which we're going to introduce to you today. And so Andy, please.
Great. So yeah, just very briefly about Phiture. We're a mobile growth consultancy. We tried to make a kind of a new style of agency. We're very much focused on driving business impact, very much focused on data-driven experimentation. And we're working with a lot of global brands, both in the apps and game space. So, App Store optimization. A few of you already are very familiar with the topic. Obviously, the main challenge is really getting your app or game discovered in a very busy category, hell of a lot of competition, standing out from the crowd. So first of all, just visibility, discoverability. And then once somebody's actually landed on your store page, it becomes about conversion rate optimization, right? So this is what we call the CRO loop. I'm just going to run over here, try and make it a bit more interactive. Starting off with a lot of research to understand deeply the audience and the users and how they're thinking about the game, and how you can react to how you can effectively target them with like winning creative. Build some hypotheses around that, prioritize those based on impact or expected impact. Create some new assets, so things like icon, screenshots, feature graphic, descriptions, etc. Test some of those assets, run those on an experiment. We tend to do a lot of testing on the Google Play experimental framework because it's a bit more robust than what Apple currently allows in terms of native testing. Of course, there are other testing solutions on the market, but however you do it, you're evaluating those results, Think of the win or a loss, applying the win, hopefully getting a sustained conversion rate increase on your store page listing, and then you go around that loop again and again, and that's App Store optimization, or at least the conversion rate optimization part of it. And the big challenge there is getting to the wins, right? Even if you're doing good research and you're creating great creative, which hopefully you are, you still need to go around that loop multiple times, probably before you're going to get a standout win, right? It's a lot about the cadence and volume of testing that you can do. Of course, you need to be good at these other things as well. But if you're good at these other things, which I would argue is table stakes, really what you need to be able to do is go around this loop as many times as possible to get to the big wins. And that's exactly what we've developed at Phiture. From having done this manually, and we're doing App Store optimization manually for many, many clients across, for the last 8 years, we understand the process very well, we understand the Google Play Store very well, and we've been able to build something which gets to things like 322 deployed experiments in 8 weeks for Wildlife Studios. That's significantly faster and with a better win rate, actually, than we've seen in manual ASO optimization pretty often. We've been able to repeat that with other studios like Lion Studios, Lockwood Publishing, and a bunch more. We've got some more case studies coming out. You can check out these case studies on our website, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. So let me introduce you to Pressplay. At Pressplay, we do accelerated Play Store experiment testing. So to go through the loop Andy just described much faster and in an automated way. We use generative AI, and we fully automate A/B testing on the platform, making the process quicker and more impactful for 4 different types of assets, for icons, for the order of screenshots, for feature graphics in case the game has a video on the store, and for short descriptions that can be easily localized through generative AI and built on scale. And also there's a 5th type of assets, which is the splash screen, which we are also supporting since last week.
The green one. Green button here.
Yeah. All right. So at the core of Pressplay, we have the creation of assets using generative AI. So what we do is that we combine the best practices we've developed since Phiture was created in ASO and App Store optimization. And we take inputs from the game in terms of which type of guidelines for styles, branding, which experiments have worked in the past, learning from user acquisition campaigns and the like, in order not to repeat mistakes and to leverage what has worked. We combine this with game assets. We receive, for instance, in the image here, you can see the same character from multiple angles we can take in order to produce as a result a virtual and unlimited number of assets, thanks to the combination of these 2 types of inputs. At the core, and so what makes this possible is the so-called AI model fine-tuning, which is a fancy way to call the customization of artificial intelligence models for the purpose of creating icons specifically and for a specific game. As some of you might be aware of, there's a lot of AI models to create images like Midjourney, DALL-E, and they've been trained with millions of images. However, they're not the best if you're trying to reproduce a specific IP, a specific style, a specific game character. And what we do is then we train specifically the model for the game. Even just 5 to 10 images can be enough to have a good result. And that's what this slide shows. So in this case, we receive the character from multiple angles. We took it as an input, did some magic, trained the model, and were able then to reproduce the same character on a horse or in different settings. Some real examples. So thanks to this process, we were able to create icons, which are on brand, also feature graphics. So let's focus on icons now, which are on brand. So these are 3 examples. This is Avakin Live from Lockwood Studio. And the character is an NPC of the game. The name is Nadia Fox. In this case, we fine-tuned the model using for a specific character based on Nadia Fox. And as you can see, then we can reproduce her in different poses, contexts, settings, and another example here is Archery Clash by Voodoo. In this case, again, we focused on a specific character, which was what they had on the icon, represented on the icon. And in this case, we decided to stay closer to the original style and background and rather change the position of the archer. This tests are all live, by the way. So if you check online, you might find a different icon than this. And the last case is very interesting because it's a fine-tuning, but not for a character, but for a gameplay. This is Hexasort by Lion Studio and Uplovin. And in this case, we reproduce different assets representing the gameplay of the game, which is characterized by these hexagons, rather than just a character. And yeah.
Yeah, and feel free to test us out on this, by the way. We feel like we've got pretty good at training models to work with different game companies' IP by now. So if you have some IP that you're thinking, well, yeah, we'd love to try this out, but we're not sure if actually this is going to work with Gen AI, then come and chat with us. We've got a booth out there. We'll be happy to actually run a test and see if we can actually work with your IP and get them into some new Gen AI novel situations. We're very confident that we'll succeed with that. So yeah, a bit more about how it actually works. So Livio sort of talked about how we sort of ingest a whole bunch of information into the model in order to actually get it started, kind of seed it with enough information and understanding about your IP and your past experiments, etc., that it can start to generate hypotheses and creative briefs. It's essentially briefing its own creative department. You could actually take those creative briefs and give them to your own art team, for example, if you wanted to. You don't need to use the Gen AI component, but most folks do want to use it because quite quickly it's able to get to really good wins. So how does it do that? Right, the first test that it does is going to generate some new icons, for example. This is an icon test. Icon generally is where we see double-digit increases in conversion rate optimization. So it's a great asset to start with. The first set that it generates, they almost always lose, usually really badly. Right? Look at this, like minus 51% conversion. Like you'd be like, oh, okay, this is bullshit. But it's learning every time. It runs these, it compares these, it does an analysis of like, okay, this was the asset that I generated. This is the original asset. And the AI tries to understand like what was losing about this, right? It does an image analysis, right? Reverse image analysis to actually look at, what were the components of these images? Why did this one lose? Why is this a bad hypothesis? And because it's generating these more or less instantly, able to run these in parallel, we can run like sort of upwards of 50 experiments in parallel using custom store listings, all automated. So like it's handling a lot of the complexity around deploying those, which means that it can very quickly learn from the mistakes and quickly get to, we're seeing here like round 2 already with Sky Warriors, it was getting to like, fairly high single-digit increases in conversion rate. And then after a couple more iterations, it's getting to 16.5%. And that's actually not even the highest conversion rate increase we've seen. We've seen like double-digit increases closer to 50% in some cases. Look what we see here with Avakin Life. So this was an example where once we introduced fine-tuning, it really kicked it into high gear. So within a couple of months, we were seeing a 57% increase in conversion rate. Again, all through iterative AI automated testing.
Yeah, and just another couple of product features of Pressplay, because Pressplay is like the core is generative AI, but it's not just that. So Pressplay, its scale in its automation and its reporting. So with scale, we mean that we can run multiple, up to 50 concurrent experiments per game title at the same time, thanks to unique segmentation of the audience we do through custom store listings. The automation, I'm gonna tell a bit more in a second, but in general, we can use smart rules to, for instance, kill the experiments which are underperforming as early as 1 day after they started. As a consequence, the speed of testing can go faster and faster, the loop can repeat, and like these 50 experiments which are live always at the same time can just continue to produce impact. And finally, for what concerns reporting, we give an overview of all experiments that have been done in the past, that are currently live, and their performance. I'm going to show you in a sec. This is about the automation. So Pressplay can automate and schedule experiments. First, the left side of the screen. So it's possible to set up the general configuration for the experiment. So what's the confidence interval we are targeting, clearly, like the basics, minimum detectable effects, but also how many days, min and max, we want to run the experiment for. And what's even maybe more interesting is these rules I was mentioning before, either to kill the experiments earlier if they're not doing well. For instance, we can say that if a title has reached 1,000 of installs and is still below 15%, we want to kill it right away. Another interesting rule, which works in the other case, so if we do have wins, is that they can be immediately applied, and they become the new control, and the testing can continue, the loop can continue, and the testing can continue without any manual intervention. On the other side of the slide, you can see the experiment queue, which is actually the core of Pressplay. So the experiment queue shows all experiments that are ready to go live, and it's possible to assign them a priority and to schedule them so that they can be deployed even at night, in the weekend when no one is watching, without, again, a manual intervention. And finally, to close up on features, with Pressplay, this is very interesting for whoever works frequently doing experiments on Google Play, whose interface is not very helpful, and having aggregated data is tough. We offer the possibility to collect all historical experiments in one place, and they can be filtered, grouped, ordered. For instance, in this case, the experiments have been ordered by the best performing one, and then it's possible to click on them, see which variant was tested, what was the icon or the feature graphic or the short description, see what the learnings are, and then take it from there and incorporate it in the new round of testing.
Great. So, like, the results really speak for themselves. I think I already presented these results that we got. You can read more about these on the case study. We've got a bunch of other games publishers and developers in. Well, we're still basically in early beta, but we have some open slots. So if you're interested to try this out, come talk to us later. We have a booth outside. I think, like, just to sort of sum up, it's really about getting that scale, running thousands of experiments, massive parallelization of experiments, high experimentation cadence, automation, being able to deploy and kill and scale, like scale winners, kill losers, and do that all automatically. And then also automatically gather and consolidate all the reporting and learnings from that, so that all of that learning not only goes back into the engine and helps the machine learn better, but it can also go back into your organization and help your organization learn, maybe what's working, which you can also apply to some other products, whether or not you're using Pressplay for them. So, yeah, just finally a little bit about Phiture. We're a mobile growth consultancy. We essentially work as an extension of our clients' teams. We can help with kind of all of the stuff that you see here. So basically full funnel plus data, AI, art, creative, more or less a one-stop shop to help with, like, kind of plug into your team, help with strategy and execution on any areas where you need extra support. And feel free. We'd love to connect on LinkedIn and or chat at our booth. We've got a couple of other folks from the team here. We're going to be at our booth for the next few hours, so would be really great to have some more conversations. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
I think we have still like about a minute left for questions.
That's all good. Yeah. So I'm just about to see if anyone wants it. Does anyone have a question they want to ask? We have a question right here.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Really good presentation. Sounds really good tool.
Thank you.
I get a question regarding the screenshot because I've been trying to use also Gen AI for the custom product page for screenshots, and I had a lot of rejection with Apple. So did you find the tricks or something?
Oh, it's a really, really good question on the screenshot. So right now we're not generating screenshots automatically, right? We're doing screenshot order testing, so we can test permutations of your existing screenshots, like every permutation in all markets, to find the right value prop to put in front of people. We're working on some stuff to be able to put like Gen AI, like backgrounds and like banners on top of your screenshots, but we don't do the generation of the screenshots themselves. We work on right now feature graphic, icon, short description, and what's the other one?
Yeah, I forgot one.
Another asset. And oh yeah, it's screenshot auto testing. Yeah, and screenshot generation will come, but we're not doing it yet for exactly the reason you described. Because like if you just use Gen AI to create a random image of what's supposed to be your game, it's probably not going to be representative of the game.
Cool. Any other questions?
Yes, we got one over here.
How's it looking like on the custom product pages side for that matter? So you mentioned it briefly, like CPPs and CSLs. Can you leverage the tool for it?
Maybe Livio can speak to that one.
You're curious to know how the CSLs are set up? For?
So leveraging this tool for CSL. So basically the tool automatically is using CSLs to get this like parallelization effect. So we're heavily leveraging custom store listings to be able to run multiple experiments and speed up the experimentation testing. I think your question is, can we use this to optimize a specific custom store listing?
Yeah, that's essentially what we do. So we tend to run experiments in specific custom store listings, so combination between a store listing and a language, and then we leverage that learning on other markets. Because what we see typically from clients is that they rather have similar assets globally, apart from the ones which are localized. So that's normally how we work. But I can tell you more later after.
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Great stuff. I think we probably should stop there. So thank you very much, guys. That's really interesting stuff.
Thanks. Thank you.